Hi guys, you're welcome to another tutorial. Now this tutorial is on how to sew a petal sleeve or an overlap sleeve. Yeah, can you see that's the overlap and it's so neat and beautiful. If this tutorial interests you, kindly stay to the end. Let's get started, guys. Now these are the fabric we'll be working with. I have this is stay, this is medium gum stay. It's thicker than the normal paper gum. Then this is the fabric I'll be using for this tutorial. I won't be cutting directly on the fabric. I want to cut on this pattern paper then before we transfer it to our fabric. The first thing we'll do is to be cutting a normal basic sleeve. I'm going to leave like 4 inches before I draft the normal sleeve, so I would mark the 4 inches. Then from here we're going to start drafting the sleeve. The length for the sleeve is going to be a length of 8 inches plus 1 inch sewing allowance, that is 9, or you can do half inch sewing allowance. I'll just mark 9 here. Petal sleeve doesn't really require much sewing allowance at the down part, and it's not always a long sleeve. It is usually fine when it's short. Now I'm going to go down by 4 inches. This 4 inches is the cap height. You rule the line. On this starting point here, you're going to mark 4 inches. In between, you mark 2 inches. Then on this 4 inches here, come down by 1 inch this way. We're just trying to get a good curve. Now on this cap height, this is where you put your round sleeve. If your round sleeve is 16 inches, you divide it by 2, you put 8 inches. If your round sleeve is 15, divide it by 2. Whatever your round sleeve gives you is what you divide by 2 and you put on your cap height. So my round sleeve is 15 inches. I'm going to divide it by 2, that's 7.5. Then I'll add 1 inch sewing allowance on this part. So for the sleeve length here, since I have 7.5 here, I'm going to put 6.5 here, then plus the 1 inch sewing allowance, and you connect this together. Then from here also you just connect like this, connect to the 1 inch, then from the 1 inch connect to the 2 inch. So this is how to get your sleeve. I'm actually using a broken line so that I can smoothen it. Now this is a proper sleeve. On this part here, I use 4 inches here. You can do 3.5, you can do 4, which is fine. So here you're just going to start connecting, curving. Let it meet your sewing allowance this way. Because we're going to be pleating this upper part. After cutting, this is what you will have. Then just notch this part. Also notch it on the fabric. So when you open, you have something like this. Now let's create the overlap. This middle line here, you're going to come down by 8 inches. You can come down by 8, 9, whatever you want to come down with. So let me do 8.5. So I'm coming down by 8.5. Then here, from here, this curve on this side here, you're going to come down by 5 inches. So you place your tape like this and you follow the way the curve is. You measure 5 inches. You also indicate it there. Then from this middle line here, on this side, you're going to do 4 inches. So you mark your 4 inches. Now you're going to connect the 3 lines together. This one, and this one. So take your curve ruler. Guys, this is how it's looking like. Now cut off this part. Now after cutting off this part, I don't need this anymore. I will discard this. Then this is what we'll use. So guys, this one we're going to cut 4 of this for one sleeve, because I'll be using the same fabric for both lining and the main sleeve. Now if you're doing lining, you cut 2 of this. If you're using a separate material, that's for the lining, you do 2 of this, then 2 of the main fabric. If you're using both the same fabric, cut 4 of this. Now that is for one sleeve. If you're doing both sleeves, it's going to be 8 pieces altogether. This is the fabric I'll be using, so let me transfer it to the fabric. I want to cut 4 together now, so you're just going to place it this way. So let's cut. I am cutting the 4 together. That's why I folded the fabric into 4. That middle notch up here, you're going to notch the 4 together. It is very important you do that. So I have the notch here. Now the next thing is cutting our stay. Now I'll cut 2 for this, then the other medium gum stay I'll cut 2 because I want it to have structure. Guys, this is it. Now this is the lining one that I gum with the medium gum stay. Now this is the main fabric that I gum with X stay. This is how it is. So you just take it right side to right side like this, and you sew this straight parts. This one that has this straight parts here, you're going to sew it with 1/2 inch. You do the same thing for the lining. You take it, place it like this, the good side, then you place this one on it, and I'm going to be sewing here with 1/2 inch. So let me sew the 2, then I'll come back and show you guys. After sewing that place with the 1/2 inch, this is the front. I also sew the lining also with the 1/2 inch. Now you're going to place the 2 together, then you sew that part I am touching, you sew it down with 1/2 inch. Now guys, I have finished sewing it with the 1/2 inch. So the next thing you do is to notch them, because anything that is curvy you have to notch. So that is me notching. Now after notching it, the next thing we'll do is to top stitch. You go to your sewing machine and you're going to top stitch. Look at that middle thread. You're going to sew very close. Now you're top stitching on the lining, not on the main fabric, so that you can fold it in properly, and when you iron it, everything is going to be smooth. So guys, you can see I'm trying to show you the thread. If you can see that top stitch thread, and I've also iron it. Then the next thing we'll be doing is to run a stitch. Yes, you're going to run a stitch on that part I am touching there. After running that stitch on it, this is how it is looking like. The way it is like this, we're going to match this notch here and the notch here. Remember the notch from the beginning, so the notch is there already. So you're going to place this like this, and you place this one like this. Just make sure the notch matches each other. Now it's going to give you something like this. Sew it together, this parts here like this, just join them together. After running the stitch on it, so this is how our petal sleeve is going to be like. Now the next thing is I am just going to be pleating here, because if you are attaching it to your top, you have to pleat here. Just split here a little, or you can just run a gather stitch on it, then you drag it. So let me do that. So I've run a gather stitch, so let's try and see if we can gather. I just did one small gather here. Can you see it? Now our petal sleeve is ready. It's so beautiful.